Okay, let's just dive right into this explainer. Today, we are unpacking a seriously chilling, first-hand account from a 38-year-old truck driver named Sandeep Kumar. And look, this isn't your run-of-the-mill campfire ghost story. It's actually a fascinating look at this bizarre, supernatural trap out on a completely deserted forest road in India. But what really makes this story so incredibly gripping is how it starts. It starts with the everyday, relatable pressures of life, you know? Heavy debts, putting food on the table, taking care of family, and it shows how those incredibly ordinary pressures can sometimes push a person right into absolute darkness. So let's look at exactly how Sandeep's routine delivery spiraled into a total mind-bending nightmare.
And here is where the tension just instantly ratchets up. Right before Sandeep enters this 80-kilometer stretch of deep, completely unmapped forest, he decides to stop for tea, just a quick break at the very last village on the route. Well, the village elder takes one look at Sandeep's delivery slip, sees the location, and gives him this absolutely bone-chilling warning. He says, whatever you see, never stop the truck. The locals there, they fully believe that absolutely nothing human lived in that forest. Anyone who went in at night, they just never came back. It's that classic ominous warning right before crossing over from the safe, known world into the totally perilous unknown.
So you're probably wondering, why on earth would anyone ignore a warning like that? I mean, I would have turned right around. But the answer is really grounded in harsh reality. Sandeep is 38, he's got a wife, 2 kids, he really wants to secure their education, and he's completely weighed down by heavy bank loans on his truck. Every single EMI payment is crucial, and the bank is just constantly breathing down his neck. Honestly, he simply could not afford to be superstitious. The sheer financial pressure completely forced his hand to take on this super sketchy midnight job just to keep his family afloat. It really is a stark reminder of how our economic reality can just override our basic survival instincts.
Now, the deal itself sounded like an absolute trucker's dream on paper. He was hired to haul iron rods, cement, and sand out to a new factory site, and get this, they were offering him double the usual pay. Double! But the catch was terrifying. The location was 80 kilometers deep into this dark, incredibly dense forest, and it was entirely disconnected from all mobile networks. I mean, zilch, 0 bars. The moment Sandeep lost his signal, he was truly completely isolated. No internet, no GPS, just him, his truck, and the creeping darkness of an area that is completely off the grid.
As he pushes deeper and deeper into the forest, the nightmare actually begins to invade his physical space. First, the cabin of the truck inexplicably turns into an absolute furnace. The AC just starts blasting hot air out of nowhere. Next thing he knows, this shadowy figure dashes right across the road in front of him with lightning speed, which obviously forces him to slam on the brakes and come to a dead stop. And then, when he steps out of the cabin to get some air, that is when the true horror really begins. It is a moment of just pure visceral terror. So he's standing there by a stopped truck, and Sandeep notices some movement in the bushes right next to the road. Out from the brush, a dried-up, blackened hand with these unnaturally long fingers and twisted, dark nails literally begins to drag itself along the ground, reaching directly toward him. No way, right? It's the kind of sight that just paralyzes you completely. Sandeep barely manages to snap out of his sheer shock, and he just scrambles frantically back into the safety of his locked cabin. Because at this point, we're not just talking about shadows in the corner of your eye anymore. This is a physical, highly threatening manifestation. He slams the gas and speeds off, finally making it to his destination. But the scene he finds makes absolutely 0 sense. His headlights sweep over what looks like a massive construction site. We're talking shipping containers, giant concrete pillars, piles of building materials, but instead of bustling workers and heavy machinery, there is only dead, eerie silence. No sounds of generators humming, no people shouting. Instead, there's just this overwhelming, bizarre smell hanging in the cold night air. It smells like something ancient and burnt. The entire environment just feels fundamentally wrong on every level.
And it just keeps escalating. There's a stray black dog resting nearby, and suddenly it locks eyes on something in the bushes. The fur on its back literally stands straight up. It lets out this terrifying shriek and just sprints away into the darkness. Sandeep follows the dog's gaze and spots a black shadow. But this isn't a normal shadow. It begins stretching taller and taller, literally matching the height of the forest trees. And right near the top, 2 glowing red eyes are peering down at him. And the absolute worst part? Sandeep gets this distinct, skin-crawling feeling that the shadow is smiling at him.
Utter panic sets in. Sandeep jumps back into the cabin, jams the key in the ignition to escape, gives it a twist, and nothing. Just a dry click. The engine is completely dead. And then suddenly, the truck's electronics go entirely haywire.
The dashboard lights are flashing like crazy, the headlights start blinking on and off, and the horn just starts blaring at full volume all on its own, echoing through this dead, silent forest. And all the while, that massive, red-eyed shadow is slowly, methodically walking right toward his truck. He is completely trapped inside a malfunctioning metal box.
But then, literally, right as the shadow is closing in, Sandeep hears it. Ding! The crisp, unmistakable sound of an old temple bell chiming out in the wind. Now, he knows for a fact there are no temples for miles around. There are no human settlements here whatsoever. Yet the very second that bell rings, the oppressive, heavy atmosphere just shatters. Suddenly, he hears the iron rods in the back of his truck clank together. He turns the key one last desperate time, and miraculously, the engine actually roars to life. He doesn't wait for a second invitation, he floors the accelerator and gets out of there, speeding right back the way he came. So when he finally makes it back to the safety of the village, the twist hits him, and it is genuinely shocking. He goes to check on his cargo, fully expecting to see tons of iron and cement back there, but the truck is completely empty. Not a single bag of sand, nothing. And when he pulls out his phone and dials the contractor to figure out what is going on, an automated voice simply tells him the number does not exist. And to top it all off, the loading slip he had in his pocket completely vanished. The entire delivery was a meticulously crafted, supernatural trap from the very beginning. The next morning, things get even more mind-bending. Sandeep goes to the police station, and an officer pulls out this dusty, old file from 1996 and slides a faded photograph across the desk. It's a picture of a truck that went missing in that exact same forest 30 years ago. But here is the horrifying part. It is Sandeep's exact truck. And I don't just mean it's the same make and model. We are talking about the exact same custom bumper, the words J Mata D painted on top in the exact same way, even the small Hanuman sticker on the windshield. It is his literal vehicle, photographed as a missing truck decades before he even bought it. And the haunting doesn't stop in the forest, it follows him right to his front door. The physical proof is just undeniable. The next day, while he's washing the truck, Sandeep finds 5 huge, elongated handprints pressed incredibly deep into the solid iron of the truck's cabin, just indented right into the metal, right alongside these deep scratch marks from those twisted nails he saw. And if that wasn't enough, phantom phone calls start coming in. They show up as his cleaner, Sonu's number. But when he answers, there's just heavy breathing and the chilling chime of that old temple bell. This all builds up to a seriously wild climax. Obviously, Sandeep tries to sell the cursed truck, but nobody will touch it. Dealers literally run away, swearing they can see a third person sitting inside the empty cab. Then, in the dead of night, Sandeep gets a frantic call from the garage watchman. Sandeep and his cleaner, Sonu, rush over, only to find the garage totally empty. They look down the road, and there are the headlights. The completely empty truck has turned itself on, the steering wheel is turning all on its own, and the vehicle is driving itself straight back toward the cursed forest. Sandeep and Sonu have absolutely no choice but to hop in another car and chase it down.
When they finally catch up to the runaway truck deep inside the forest, they are confronted by an unbelievable sight. A multitude of trapped souls. Standing right there among them is the ghost of Hari Ram, the original driver who went missing back in 1996. And Hari Ram drops a chilling truth bomb on Sandeep. He says, "If we wanted to hurt you, you wouldn't be alive." He explains that dozens of drivers have been lured to this exact spot over the last 3 decades by fake delivery orders. All of them are trapped here, unable to truly live, unable to die, just permanently bound to this one isolated stretch of road.
Then, Hari Ram completely breaks the illusion. The massive concrete factory, the pillars, the shipping containers, they literally dissolve into thin air right before Sandeep's eyes, almost like mist. The terrifying reality is finally revealed. There never was a construction site. It's just dense, overgrown forest with an ancient, cursed stone well right in the center. At the bottom of this well lies a rusted iron statue that was dug up by greedy treasure hunters years ago. And it was disturbing that statue that unleashed the dark curse that's currently binding all their souls. But breaking this curse? Yeah, it's not going to be easy. Just as Haram explains that they need to remove the statue to free everyone, a massive roar literally shakes the earth. The forest guardian descends. This is the same giant red-eyed demon Sandeep saw earlier, only now its head is practically scraping the canopy of the massive forest trees. The ground is literally quaking beneath their feet as this monstrous thing rushes forward, desperate to protect the curse and trap Sandeep and Sona there forever. What happens next is a frantic, desperate race for survival. Sandeep and Sonu sprint toward the well, basically slipping and sliding down these ancient, pitch-black stone stairs into the abyss, while the Guardian is literally tearing the forest apart right above their heads. They reach the bottom and grab the rusted iron statue, which has these creepy, glowing red stones for eyes. With the Guardian's terrifying roar echoing all the way down the well, Sandeep uses absolutely every ounce of adrenaline and strength he has left to snap the ancient iron chains binding the statue just in the very nick of time.
The exact moment those chains snap, thick black smoke just erupts everywhere. The curse is temporarily shattered. Sandeep and Sonu climb back up out of the well to this incredibly eerie, yet oddly beautiful sight. The terrifying shadow monster is entirely gone. And the trapped souls of all those drivers, including Hari Ram, they are looking at Sandeep with total peace. Slowly they turn into bright light and just fade away into the cool morning air, leaving behind absolutely nothing but an ordinary, completely mundane stretch of forest.
Honestly, you'd think that would be the end of it, right? The heroes win, the curse is broken. Well, 2 months later, Sandeep is hanging out at a roadside dhaba. He's taken a much safer, local driving job. He ends up striking up a friendly conversation with this new, young truck driver. The kid smiles at him and says, "Yeah, I just got a great load for a new factory being built out in the forest." And then he pulls out the exact same fake loading slip, bound for that exact same 80-kilometer stretch of completely dark, isolated road.
Sandeep frantically tries to stop him, to warn him, but the young driver just laughs it off and speeds away into the night. And this leaves us with an incredibly lingering, provocative question. Who is going to be the forest's next delivery? Because the curse wasn't permanently broken, the cycle just hit reset. It is a deeply terrifying testament to the unending, looping nature of this haunted highway. So what do you think? Would you have stopped the truck? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and hey, stay safe on your next drive.